Coach, so, I mean, are you where you want to be? I mean, do you ever get a feel in the preseason of where you want to be?
Well, no, good question. I don't know if because the lack of a preseason game or not going against anybody other than yourself. I don't know if you truly know, but done it long enough to get a feel. Again, I think we're going to get as much heat as we want next week. Looking to the forecast, so I don't know if I wanted that much, but so we need a hot day because in case we have a hot day on Saturday and guys got to stay hydrated and play a lot of players. So hopefully we'll get that next week. I think we've gotten to the point where we identified, I think, most of the guys that are ready to play. There's still a few more that we got to get ready in the next week and a half, in my opinion, but we got some time to get that done.
How do you treat the week before game week? Do you do like a mock game week and then repeat it, or?
No, we do a mock game on Friday. I always do it 8 days before the first game, irregardless of what the schedule was, just to get used to the sidelines and how we're going to substitute in the game and the situations and all that. It's it takes about an hour. It's all scripted, so it's not anything that's going to be that we'll make aware of something. But if we're not ready in a particular phase or we're not paying attention to a particular situation, that'll stand out. But we'll do that on Friday, and we'll obviously start on coastal stuff already this week. And then after Friday, it goes back to game week.
So, how many times do you enter season with a lot of questions, or in your mind, do you have answers?
I think anytime there's new starters, like if you had returning starters, you know exactly what you have with that. You hope they're a little bit better every year. Every year in their program, if you're developing them the right way, they're going to be better. So there's less unknowns with that, but with a huge amount of new starters, again, there's always a little bit more anxiety, I guess, on exactly how they're going to play. So we try to. That's why I told the team today, as a matter of fact, we try to put you in some pressure, intense situations in practice to try to get you ready for the intensity of the game. It won't be the same as a game, but we try to do as much as we can. And we probably, even if we had 20 starters come back, we'd do the same way. But we're doing it now to find like who is really ready.
Rich, are you ever truly ready for the first game? It might sound like a crazy question, but like you said last week, you'd always take more time practicing and stuff.
Yeah, I think because of the unknown, there's so many guys nowadays, but we're not the only team. Very rarely in this day and age of college football do you have a team that has 14 or 15 starters coming back. We're hoping that we will, next year, but I don't. Those days are different, so you have to adapt a little bit more. And it's more. It's not like that in the NFL either. So you're not having a whole roster of 50, half your roster of 52. You don't have that many free agents or guys retiring, what have you. So it's unique to college football or college sports, and I guess in general now. And you just got to have a plan for it.
Is it at all different with your offense in particular that maybe you need a game actually to see a first half played against an opponent to see how much you're clicking?
Not really. I think offensively, in general, it takes a little bit longer to get that rhythm, what have you, because you're not going full speed all the time against comparable guys on the scout team. So, we'll do the best we can and adapt. What I don't want to happen, whether it's on offense or defense or special teams, is have our guys play slower or ineffective because they're thinking too much. Whatever they can volume they can handle mentally that we need to have, that we'll have. But by Monday of next week, before we get to the Tuesday practice of next week, I want to know exactly kind of what the plan is, offense, defense, and special teams that we won't screw up per se, and be ready to roll with it.
Rich, when you have a new quarterback starting, maybe not, new to you, what do you look for, and how do you keep your feet on the ground?
Yeah, you want to have guys that be able to really just run the offense, but if they have some explosive ability, whether it's by throwing or running, to add to it, then there's actually less that you have to put in. So you don't need a wide menu of things if your quarterback can be really dynamic in whether it's in the throw game or pass game or hopefully both. And I think we have some guys that have that ability. So you don't have to do a whole lot because you can have some explosive plays. But what I've tried to stress to the quarterbacks the last couple of days, what we need to avoid is the bad plays. If we have turnovers or bad decisions or the bad plays, that can really offset a lot of good plays before that. So we're working on that, and I think they're pretty conscientious guys, our quarterbacks. So we'll see how it happens.
Have you ever seen a quarterback in there, looked in their eyes, and said, "Oh no, what am I doing?"
No, and that's a fair question. I've played true freshmen before in big stadiums, and you're worried about and it turns out I'm more nervous than they am. I'm more nervous for them than they are for them. But I think again, part of our methodology, whatever you want to call it, is to create some intense, things in practice. And so the games, they're like, yeah, I'm glad coach is not behind me yelling at me. I'm out here just executing the thing. So, but we've got guys, Mike and Scotty have both started games on the Power 4 level. So they've got some experience, and that helps a little bit. It's all, a lot of stuff we're doing is new. So, we'll find out in the first game. But I think there's no, some people have asked me before, would you open up with a conference game? Or I think no matter who you open up with, in college football in general, you're probably a little bit more anxious because you have no idea, or you don't have the best idea of what you have.
Rich, you've mentioned the unknowns in the first couple of minutes. Just what goes into that, when you go about assessing the unknowns, and how do you go about managing that as well?
The biggest thing is just to go back to what they've done in practice. If they've played before, you can go back to that. But going back to we do so much situational stuff in practice, maybe more. I don't know what everybody else does, but we do a whole bunch. And my pet peeve with our team is if we're not paying attention situationally, because we have down and distance every time. We do not run a team period or a skelly period or whatever it is without a down and distance. It's there 100% of the time. And we don't run a team period or skelly period without the 25-second, 40-second clock running. So everything is should be easier in the game, and the games are slower down because you got TV timeouts and the officials are managing it and all that kind of stuff. So, but until we play one, we'll really find out how well. But I've done this long enough. I'd be shocked if we didn't situationally be prepared, as we're going to keep covering it for the next 8 days.
Rich, you talked about the walk-on tryouts. Anything come out of that?
Yeah, we had about 12, 15 guys come out, and there's some prospects, but I think we only have one potential spot, maybe two. So we're still discussing it. It has to come from the student body, Well, I don't know if it does. I don't know what's going on in college football now. I guess you can come from the Steelers. Hey, I like Coach Mike. I've met him before. Maybe I have to give Coach McCarthy a call. Yeah, give him a call. Say, hey, can you give me a heads up on anybody that might be coming back? So. Yeah, so I think we're kind of we're on hold, not just for that reason, but that's one of the reasons.
You've mentioned this before. You got 8 straight games, and then you got 4 weeks before. So that's 12 straight weeks of football. Has that impacted how you've gone about this camp, maybe as opposed to others?
No, the biggest difference in this camp was it was only 2 weeks before we started school, so it wasn't. And it's never really a grind now, but it wasn't that full time period that you had them all to yourself. But that's okay. I mean, you still got enough time to get ready. If I look back at 28 or 29 previous years and how our schedule went and where we're at install wise and all that, we're right on track with the rest of them. And typically you just say, well, I had an experienced team coming back, you'd be further ahead, but we're about as far ahead. We do that. But I think sometimes you, in a strange way, the quicker you have to get ready for the game, the better off you are, because coaches when they have too much time, they tend to do too much. It's like having an open date and you're going to have like a brand new game plan. The reality is open date is to fix your problems, not to add more, So this is I'm kind of treating this like an open date, this week.
With what John said, though, do you have to be a little bit less physical going forward because you play so much?
Yeah, that's been part of it. I've been less physical, I guess. it's kind of governed by how many days you can have full pads anyway, so that helps a little bit. But even I still don't understand that part of it. I mean, I don't know why the NCAA has to govern. If coaches are smart enough to have a plan that you're not going to go in full pads every day and scrimmage every day. I mean, that's archaic. Nobody would do that now. But now we got the NCAA telling us, what days you're in helmets and when you can hit, and I'm going to hit less than what you're allowed anyway, just so I can make sure our team gets to the game. But you'd like to dictate that, if you had a soft practice and you think you need to get physical to teach them something, and then you go pads again the next day or something. But we've adapted pretty well. It's not our practices are maybe a little intense, but I don't think they're that hard. That's just me.
Rich, what do you think you have with Josh Sapp and his size and experience and different things he can do?
Well, he's got experience. He's got great ball skills. He's learning how to be a physical blocker. He's got enough size to do that, enough experience to do that. He's really the last couple of weeks, especially with Ryan Ward being banged up a little bit and Cam Ball being banged up a little bit, has taken a lot of reps with the first group and has gotten better every day. So his physicality and his blocking in the open field, which is a big thing for our tight ends, he's done a good job of getting better and better, and I think he'll keep getting better. And he's got some experience too. He's played in games, so it was some of the concepts we put in are easy for him to pick up because he was well coached at Clemson.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but he's not the tallest guy, not the heaviest guy, but it does seem like he moves around. You said good ball skills.
Yeah, he's got good ball skills, and I don't know, what is he, 240 or something? I guess. No, he's not small, but he is, like I said, and he can run too. He's got a little bit of a feel too. You can tell he's played in some high-level college football because you put a concept in and he kind of understands it pretty quickly.
Coach, we were joking about it a little bit, but do you have any opinions on players who are in NFL camp coming back to college? It's been a hot-button issue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I see it from the school standpoint. Man, I could address a need right now, especially if it's a guy that played for you last year. But I think it's all crazy that you think a guy could sign a professional contract and, he gets cut or he doesn't get what he wants to get, and he goes back and plays. I mean, what are we doing here, right? It's like it's kind of boggles the mind. And then I think you have to take control by conference. It sounds like the Big Ten made a statement that we're not going to do that. I thought the SEC had something already in place that you couldn't go interconference-wise, but they got a TRO to override that. But I don't know what the legality of it is, but I think all the conferences should say you can't do it. You can't do it. It's like doesn't the conference dictate if a guy has targeting, he has to sit out, or they make some kind of rule. There's if a guy violates some kind of thing, the conference can make you sit out a game or whatever it is, a half or a game. Well, they can. I think a conference can make a rule that, hey, you might be doing something, but our conference, you're not allowed to do that. I don't know if that'll stand up in court. I don't know the legalities of it, but it's crazy that the rosters that you would be adding now, guys that are there's guys playing right now and getting paid by the NFL that might be playing in college football in a week and a half. Are you kidding me? We got a pro league. It's the NFL. Then we got the UFL too, right? But we got the NFL.
How's your weekend scrimmage compared to the previous one?
It was light and easy. The ones didn't take a lot of. We treated it like an exhibition game. Like a lot of the older guys didn't play much. They did 15 or 20 minutes a thud. The second group probably did about 35 plays, and then the young guys probably had about 40 plays live. So, and I purposely did that. I wanted to, get a good long look at if any of those younger guys, the threes, what have you, are going to be ready to play yet. And so that was just one little test, but that's not the only test.
Do you feel like the intensity is starting to pick back up a little bit more as you get closer to the season?
No, it's been not the same. It's never been bad, and it's always been pretty even, which is good. Now, we started off, there were moments where we were soft, like I said, pillow fights, and the situational awareness is not where I want it to be all the time. But it's not like it's horrible. It's not like guys are, messing around on the sidelines, whatever. It's just the level of intensity that I want to see out of them all the time in practice is always going to probably be a work in progress. But for the most part, these guys have been very, very conscientious. You tell them something, they pay attention. They're on time. They work pretty hard. Now, we'll find a loaf or two, and every day we'll find a loaf or two because their version of loafing and ours as a coaching staff doesn't always match up. But we've worked pretty hard. But it's not hard now to be. Not as hard to be a college football player as it used to be, but that's okay. You know, we try to make it. You know, everybody try to go through hard stuff that helps them bond them, but it's not nearly as hard, and there's a lot of good reasons why it's not.
Rich, you mentioned some of those young guys that got scrimmage time the other day. Anybody who's jumped out at you lately, who you haven't talked about, that you think, okay, they're right there on the verge of getting
Heck, I don't know
time?
who you all talk about. There's sometimes I see something, Raquel will show me something like, oh, was I talking about him? I'm glad I got his name right. You know what I mean? No, I don't. I mean, I'm gonna miss somebody. I mean, there's always somebody every day that does it, does something. But it used to be that you knew the guys coming back, so you didn't really have to evaluate them as hard, right?
It's not as hard to be a college football player, and there are some good reasons. Run through a couple of them.
What's that?
Run through a couple of those good reasons why it's not as hard to be a college football player today.
Oh my gosh, it's like first off, you have medical staffs like ours are enormous. I mean, you have trainers and doctors and it was amazing yesterday. A guy was checking out. He had bummed his knee or something a little bit, and one of our team doctors had a thing plugged into his phone and ultrasound. You can see right there if there was any tears or something like that. Didn't have to go to the hospital. I mean, 5 minutes after practice, it's like, you can see what something's wrong or not wrong. The nutrition the guys eat, our guys eat better than anybody in the country. We know exactly how much weight they gain, all the proteins, all the science they have for that. There's so much more. Like we have a GPS on them. Like we know if a guy's with 6,000 yards and how intense he was running, and it's amazing the science and everything that you have nowadays. So our players should be physically monitored closer than like Olympic athletes are. It used to be just Olympic athletes. Now it's every college athlete in the country that kind of has that deal. And then we don't have 2-a-days and 3-a-days, But a lot of coaches, I wouldn't have 3-a-days now or 2-a-days now if they said we could, because we have our guys all summer, and you have a better idea what kind of shape and condition they're in anyway.
More or less pressure now because of money, because of internet, because of that.
Yeah, I don't know the pressure, but you're now that you're a little bit conscious. Like not only is this guy a starter, but he's taking a big salary, and you're hoping he makes it through the games, and so you're taking. And I never coached in the NFL, but I've been around the NFL camps. When I was in Arizona, Bruce Arians was a coach of the Cardinals, and I used to go up there and watch them in the camp. And I used to go to Steelers training camp. So you've been around the NFL, so I kind of know how it operates in all that. But we are definitely geared, and they want their players to be 16, 17 games fresh for the season. So I have consciously cut some things out that you used to do because you want your players to go through a 13, 14 games, 15 games, whatever it is, season. But they got to be ready to play too. So that's where the moments that I ask for the full-on intensity and the hard edge or whatever, it can't be like pulling teeth. It has to be boom, and we're in it. And that's always a little bit of work in progress until the culture is truly established, and then I don't have to worry about that either.
Richie got players from a couple players from different countries and kind of came to football later. Didn't grow up in Texas or Pennsylvania or whatever. There's always been a place for those guys, right? But do you consider it differently now because the roster is limited with spaces and you want to play guys right away and they might need a year or two just to get Americanized?
On the same side of that, there's more international players that are coming to America. They've always done in other sports, right? But there's more that are coming in football than ever before. There's some organizations that are really, and you're getting some like big, tall, athletic kind of like, they might be a little raw, but there's some really, really talented ones coming, and we'll go anywhere to recruit. we love being local, and that helps. But if there's no matter what country you're in, if they're the right guy and they can play at this level, we'll welcome to Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay, thank you, Coach.